Good morning, America. My name is Michael Evans. You're listening to America's Voice Now. Thank you for joining us this morning. There are 4 top stories that we're going to address this morning, not the least of which is the subject of my talking points. The federal government and a number of state and federal law enforcement agencies have been ordering and requesting specifically targets that cover women, pregnant women, children, old men with a shotgun, old woman with a shotgun, and other domestic type targets. This should have every American deeply, and I do mean deeply, concerned. These targets in question, called No More Hesitation, are being sold by a company that is a number 1 contractor for both the Department of Homeland Security, other federal agencies, and state and local law enforcement, including the military. They have ties to the Justice Department, Homeland Security, thousands of local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. They're Minnesota-based. They call themselves Law Enforcement Training. I've put up images on the website, or a link to the images on the website and also on our Facebook page, and I strongly encourage you to see them, because they will be shocking to you that a young girl who is a school, the title of that target is Young School-Aged Girl. And it depicts a young girl of about 15 standing with a pistol. Now, the object of this is for them to not hesitate with that type of a target. This firm has landed $6 million worth of federal contracts alone, $2 million of that coming from the DHS alone. Even more alarming, the TSA, the Transportation Safety Administration, has awarded the company $1 million in contracts. I find that extremely frightening, and you should too. The targets have sparked worldwide outrage, and yet you have seen nothing on it on the mainstream media. You haven't seen it on the Communist News Network. You haven't seen it on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSLSD, or Faux News. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Americans wouldn't be angered, they'd be pissed off. Pregnant woman threat. Pregnant women? Really? Older man with shotgun. Older man in home with shotgun. Older woman with gun. Young school-aged girl. Young mother on playground. Little boy with real gun. Little boy with real gun depicts a child of about 8 holding a pistol. Their response is this. This hesitation time may be only seconds, but that is not acceptable when officers are losing their lives in these situations. If that initial hesitation time can be cut down due to range experience, the officer and community are better served. Really? Well, let me put it to you this way. There's been so much contention that they had to actually take the images off their Facebook page. Minnesota-based Law Enforcement Training. Why don't you go to their Facebook page and let them know how you think about it? Their response has said, We apologize for the offensive nature of our No More Hesitation products. These products have been taken offline due to the opinions expressed by so many, including members of the law enforcement community. This product was originally requested and designed by the law enforcement community to train police officers for unusually complex situations where split-second decisions could lead to unnecessary loss of life. If that doesn't make you question everything and everywhere that our nation is headed, you need to have a deep discussion with yourself in the mirror. Some commentators have actually claimed the firm was helping desensitize federal functionaries to the horror of killing American women and children. I agree. Others point out, like critics from across the political spectrum, that the Obama administration's domestic agencies have stockpiled massive numbers of rounds of ammunition, 2 billion to be precise, enough to wage a 30-year, decades-long war against the American people. Number of members of the law enforcement community have come out and spoken out against this. Here's one of the comments. There's something wrong, seriously wrong here. If we start to desensitize law enforcement officers, have them disregard humanity, to feel nothing's wrong in shooting a pregnant lady or an old man with a shotgun inside his home, then what kind of society have we become? This is from a retired police officer from Houston. Here's another one. How will police officers react after they no longer believe they are part of the society which they have been charged with policing, when they have become used to shooting pregnant ladies and old men? I agree. The reporter who first broke the story had some serious questions, too. Why are top training target suppliers for the government supplying the likes of the DHS with, quote, non-traditional threat, end quote, targets of children, pregnant women, mothers in playgrounds, and elderly American gun owners, unless there is a demand for those items? This trend is not only troubling, it's disgusting. The fact that targets of armed pregnant women, children, and mothers in playgrounds, and American gun owners in general inside their homes, that are being now represented as non-traditional threats for the first time, is shameful. If this doesn't allow you to recognize that our government is preparing for civil unrest, starting with the Homeland Security Agency, I don't know what more you're waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. I truly don't. When we return, we're going to talk about a couple of other stories, including Bob Woodward, where he's being threatened by the White House for his assertions, why the federal government is disarming veteran Americans, and the fact that the Utah Second Amendment Preservation Act has been blocked by their committee chairman. We're going to discuss these issues and more. I invite you to stick with us through this break. We'll be returning in just a moment. You can find all of these stories and more on our Facebook page. You can go to facebook.com/America's Voice Now. Please hit the like button. That enables us to express our opinions and our stories and spread the word with our page. This is not a personal page. This is a publicity page, and it enables us to be able to garner greater attention, not just from the few people who like us, but across literally thousands and thousands of others. It helps us spread the word that America's Voice Now is giving you the news the mainstream media refuses to tell you about. We'll be back in just a moment.
I know what you're thinking, Bunk. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5?
Dirty Harry gets all his ammo from the battery station. John Rambo, you guessed it. He gets his ammo from the battery station, too. So if you need ammo, go to the place where the guys who know about ammunition go, the battery station. They have one of the largest supplies of ammunition in the area. So make sure you're stocked up and don't get low on shells. Go to the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue in West Plains.
There is this product on Amazon that is simply going crazy. The banana slicer, almost 2,500 consumer reviews. I've been trying to come up with an ideal way to slice a banana. Use a knife, they say. Well, my parole officer won't let me around knives. Or how about this one? What can I say about the banana slicer that hasn't already been said about the wheel or penicillin? Obviously, just a pure hoax.
Saturdays noon to 3 and weekdays at 7:35 for your digital minute. It's Kim Commando on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
I want to thank you for taking this break with us. We're back. I'd like to thank our sponsors, West Plains Pawn and Gun. You can reach them at westplainspawn.com on the internet. You can call them at 417-256-3000. They are also the sponsor of our upcoming March 30th reloading class. If you're interested in taking that class, it's a complete class on how to reload metallic cartridges. Please email me at mike@americasvoicenow.org. Please indicate in the subject line that you're interested in the reloading class. It's $100. Date is March 30th. Our friends over at Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner Boulevard. They have an outstanding lunch opportunity Monday through Friday from 11 to 2. It's a salad bar along with pizza and pasta. And so you can have something healthy and something good. Make sure that you visit Pizza Hut on Porter Wagoner Boulevard in West Plains. Ask for Bree while you're there. She's a special friend of mine. She'll take great care of you. Also, our friends over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery. Mary has the best damn bakery in 100 miles, and you can reach her at 255-2253. All of her products are locally sourced and organic, and you'll be very, very impressed with the bakery products, pastries, breads, and other things that you can obtain there. 255-2253. Bill Stone over at Stone Construction, who's a friend of ours and a supporter of this program. If you're considering doing any kind of remodeling, custom or new construction, and or light commercial, please give Bill a chance to bid on that project at 293-0116. My friends over at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. Brian is a friend of ours and a big supporter of our program. He carries all kinds of products that are geared for camping, self-reliance, survival, and just about everything under the sun that you could want. Brian can be reached at 870-492-4030, and he's located 1/2 mile east of Walmart at 3225 Route 62 in Mountain Home, Arkansas. You can also find our friends over at the Battery Station at 303 Washington Avenue, 417-257-7799. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com. Make sure that you ask them about the Life Straw. It is an absolutely amazing product that you cannot and should not be without. They also have ammunition in stock and lots of gear for those people who are interested in self-reliance. All kinds of bags and tactical gear, firearms, bags, and cases, and just a plethora of products out there that you'll really be pleased with. I'd also like to thank Jason from Wits End Classic Barbershop. He is the sponsor of our telephone lines. Best darn place you can get a haircut. $10 for a haircut, and he does a great shave and a hot lather shave with a straight razor. I'm sure you'll be impressed. You can go into his shop. It feels like you just stepped back about 50 years. He's a fine young man, a patriot, and a great place to get your haircut. In fact, I go to him myself. You can find him on the square, and the name of the location is Wits End Classic Barbershop. They sponsor our phone lines, and we do take calls on our Wits End Classic Barbershop hotline. Okay. Our next story this morning is in reference to Bob Woodward. Now, those of you who are old enough to remember, Woodward is an outstanding reporter who has long been the fear of government because he is a guy who has brought down presidents. Now, he was originally one of the two that brought down the Nixon administration. And Gene Sperling, a top economic aide, a senior White House official, last week basically threatened him. Bob Woodward had called him and spoken with him and indicated that he was going to question President Barack Obama's account of how the sequestration issues came about. And the Obama aide, quote, yelled at me for about half an hour. Later on, he sent an email through in which he apologized for raising his voice, and he indicated that you're focusing on a few specific trees that give a very wrong impression of the forest. But perhaps we will just not see eye to eye here. The final statement in the email is the one that should have every journalist, author, radio personality, and anyone else involved in disseminating media frightened to death. I think you will regret staking out that claim. That is a frightening statement. We hear about enemy lists. We know that this administration targets individuals. So, are they now threatening the media to be silent? According to Woodward, they have to be willing to live in the world where they're challenged. I've tangled with lots of these people, but suppose there's a young reporter who's only had a couple of years or 10 years experience, and the White House is sending him an email saying, you're going to regret this. You know, tremble, tremble. I don't think it's the way to operate. I agree with you, Mr. Woodward. I think it's frightening on its face that this administration is so blatant, and I think it's even more frightening that our Congress and our House have not stepped in to stop the tirade of tyranny that is pouring forth from this administration. House members, I'm calling upon you daily. Begin to file articles of impeachment. You have enormous volumes of evidence. Woodward makes it plain that sequestration was an idea that was originally crafted by the White House. This was Obama's idea. Irrespective of what he lies to you about on the camera, and he is a liar, a blatant, bald-faced, political, huckster liar. Make no mistake about it, America. The president that you have elected and put into place is a liar. Obama personally approved of the plan, threatened to veto it if it was not included, and did sign it into law. And I can tell you this isn't me saying this. These are Democrat congressional individuals who have been involved in breaking the news that this was Obama's plan. This was not a Republican program. The Republicans agreed to it. For whatever stupid reason they did, I don't know. But the simple truth is that just like the National Defense Authorization Act, this president demanded that it be in the bill. By the way, if you're not aware, there's a brand new lawsuit that has been put out there on the National Defense Authorization Act. And there's a media blackout. Not surprisingly. The media blackout is being held back because the Action Network, and you can find it on their website, it's rtr.org, or you can go to our Facebook page and get a link to it. Tangerine Bolin is the primary plaintiff, and she has very strongly indicated that she and a number of other co-plaintiffs, including the folks that were in the original NDAA lawsuit, now have additional evidence, including this Woodward issue. I want you to hear something for a moment, and then I want you to think about this. There's one thing that Obama never says. It was his own staff that proposed sequestration. It was his own White House cabinet that suggested it. And the tax hikes that he's now proposing to nullify sequestration were never part of that plan. The White House has, in large part, with the assistance of the media, with the compliance and the assistance of the media, lied to the American people, and quite frankly, they're being believed. This, ladies and gentlemen, is out of control. This administration is out of control. You know, there's also news out, and we don't know how many yet, that based on sequestration, they allowed thousands. We know of hundreds, but the talk now is that it may have been actually thousands of illegal immigrants to walk free from prison. And the White House says, I don't know nothing. And DHS, who's in charge of ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, says, we don't know nothing. And they've both come out and said this was an ICE decision. Oh, really? Well, I'm going to ask you a flat-out question. If it takes a judge to put an illegal immigrant behind bars to be held for trial, how come it doesn't take a judge to cut him loose? Are you going to try and tell me that the warden of a prison has the authority on his own or her own to release inmates based on a concern of future budgetary cuts? That's the excuse they're using, people. Future budgetary cuts were imminent, and so we made a decision to release these inmates. You're kidding. You're kidding. Really? This sequestration is blowing up in this administration's face. He is a liar. His cabinet is loaded with liars. His public officer, information officer, is a liar. The press is supporting him. The press is backing him. They have completely and totally abdicated, and I mean abdicated, any responsibility that they have as a watchdog of government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not shameful. This is unconscionable. What do we do? Where do we go from here? How do we stop the movement of such a large juggernaut? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the equivalent of a 500-foot-high tidal wave. How do you hold it back? You can't run. A 500-foot wave will sweep you off your feet for miles. How do we stop the wave? I don't know. We're trying. We're trying with nullification in the state house, but it's a slow and awkward and frustrating process. In fact, one of my stories talks about that. The story we'll deal with in the last segment, where the Utah Second Amendment Preservation Act is blocked by the committee chairman because he questions whether or not he has the authority to stop and to nullify federal law. The hell do you think the 10th Amendment is about? If you don't understand the value and the purpose and the definition of the 10th Amendment, you probably don't need to be the committee chairman. Folks, we are in big trouble, and I mean big. We have never had a more dangerous time in the history of our republic. We are about to slip into total and absolute domination and tyranny. We're going to take a break. When we return, we'll address some of these other stories.
Chris Foster. Pope Benedict's about to enjoy a Last Supper with household staff at the Vatican. He leaves there soon, his resignation taking effect in a few hours.
Pope Benedict said farewell to his cardinals, the princes of the church, and he told them that the church was a living entity. It evolves, transforms, but it remains the same, with Christ at its heart. Later this afternoon, the Pope will leave for Castel Gandolfo, the charming castle town where the Pope will give his last greeting to the faithful. At 8 p.m., Pope Benedict will retire from the world, and his title will change to His Holiness Benedict XVI, Pope Emeritus.
Fox News Radio's Courtney Walsh at the Vatican. A group of 115 cardinals, those under 80 years old, will elect a new pope next month. A date for that process hasn't been announced, but they want it done by Easter. They keep voting until someone has a two-thirds majority. This is a Fox News alert.
The area's best selection of firearms, ammunition, and accessories can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry.
Online at westplainspawn.com.
Top of the line new and used optics from Nikon, Leopold, Burris, Redfield, Zeiss, and Schmidt & Bender. Ask about their selection of binoculars, laser sights, and night vision goggles. With new arrivals every week, the area's best selection of firearms, ammunition, and accessories can only be found at West Plains Pawn and Jewelry, 1713 West U.S. Highway 160, or shop online at westplainspawn.com. Family Fun and Fitness, LLC presents rape and assault prevention classes at Country Cupboard in Licking, Missouri. Men, women, boys, and girls, if you want to know how to stack the deck in your favor in a situation where violence is the only answer, this class is for you. Rape and assault prevention classes are held Monday evenings at 5:30 beginning February 11th and run through March 18th. Class size is limited, so call today 417-260-1006 or register at Country Cupboard, 217 North Highway 63 in Licking.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
You want to know why the country's going to hell? It's because the guy that's president of the United States, may I say, with all due respect, is an economic moron and an ideologue. And he's not going to allow knowledge and evidence and information of other sorts to get into the way of his agenda, which is why we must stop it at every turn and in every way we possibly can.
Weeknights from 5 till 8, Mark Levin on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
We don't need to be in anybody's face, and we don't need to, we don't need to become everything we despise. We don't need to become them. But we also don't need to sit down anymore and be quiet. That's been the problem. But I'm not going to shut up and sit down. I'm not going to sit in the back of the bus. I'm sorry.
This is the Glenn Beck Program.
Weekdays from 2 to 5, it's Glenn Beck on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
Weather sponsorships are now available on News Talk 107.1 The Point. Get more information, email info@diamondmediaradio.com for complete details.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a cloudy sky, cloudy through the day with a high near 40. Cloudy tonight with a couple of flurries, low 26. Clouds and a flurry or two tomorrow, high 38. It'll be partly sunny Saturday, high 36, sunny Sunday. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
You have insurance on your car, house, and health. At Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance, we sell food and water insurance. We have Life Straws and Berkey water systems. Bulk foods such as rice, beans, and peas are now in stock for the do-it-yourselfer, as well as Mountain House and Wise grab-and-go meals. Let this year's tax refund get you started. Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance, 3225 Highway 62 East in Mountain Home, just a half mile past Walmart, 870-492-4030.
Question: why is the federal government disarming veterans without due process, a violation of their civil and natural God-given right? Why? I ask you, under what authority do they violate their Fifth Amendment due process rights? The decision to strip a veteran of his right to his Second Amendment rights to be armed. Veterans are receiving letters around the country informing them that because of an alleged physical or mental disability, Their financial decisions will have to be made by a government-appointed fiduciary. And what's worse, that they'll be stripped of their Second Amendment rights. I'm going to read you what their criteria is for stripping a soldier of his Second Amendment rights. The final decision on whether the veteran should be disarmed or prevented from ever owning a gun or ammunition includes the following: the willingness to serve and abide by all agreements. Really? So you're going to try and tell me that a violation of a contract will enable you to strip a veteran of his right to own a firearm? That's a civil issue, not a criminal issue. 2, an interview with a VA representative. I'm sorry, but an interview is not a due process deliberation by a true court. 3, a credit report review. What? Are you trying to tell me that because a guy's got bad credit, you can steal his Second Amendment right? Are you out of your flippin' minds? 4, an inquiry into his criminal background. Well, if he had a criminal background, why did you let him in the military in the first place? And 5, interviews with character witnesses. Really? So you're doing an investigation on a soldier without probable cause? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what more we want to hear from this government before we take action. This tyrant, this treasonous tyrant, must be removed from office. House, start the impeachment process or go home. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mike.
Man, I can't take this. I can't take much more of this. This is absolute treason. And it is tyranny defined.
Well, yes, it is. And one of the number one reasons why they may be preparing for such an event. I know that here in Fort Leonard Wood, up in Fort Leonard Wood, that it's probably been 10 years, maybe a little longer, but all the MPs are trained in Fort Leonard Wood. If you're going to be an MP, military police officer, you will be trained in Fort Leonard Wood. And I've heard some older MPs, after they got out, said that they spent a lot more time than lately here in several years on riot control.
Yeah, well, we've heard, and we hear that routinely from soldiers who are saying that all they're being trained for now is domestic insurgencies. So
now one reason, Mike, that I'm alarmed that this could happen is that I don't know how much longer our monetary system is going.
That will be the trigger for this collapse. I've said that. I've been saying that for the last year. That what they're going to do is initiate a collapse of the monetary system, and then they're going to use that as the pretext to declare martial law.
A lot of people want to know, why is the stock market doing so well? Well,
stock market's doing well because the Fed is printing money like water.
It's QE3. They're printing $83 billion a month, the Federal Reserve is, and then shoving it in the bond markets.
It's a joke.
That can't continue. That's the reason why everything's going up. Our dollar is losing value around the world, not just here.
Yep, I hear you. Hey, listen.
Okay, see you later, Mike.
Thank you for the call. You know, Brandon Raub was an American soldier who was snatched from his home going back a while ago. He was held involuntarily. This is what Kenny wrote from Jack Kenny from the New American. Held involuntarily as a psychiatric patient at a Salem Veteran Affairs Hospital in Virginia over anti-government postings on his Facebook page. Raub was a Marine combat veteran who served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, was visited by FBI and Secret Service agents at his home on August 16th, then taken by police under emergency custody order to John Randolph Medical Center in Hopewell. He was transferred to a VA hospital on August 20th. Medical assessment of his condition at John Randolph described him as paranoid and delusional. But after an hour-long hearing in a true circuit court on August 23rd, Judge Alan Sharrett dismissed the involuntary commitment petition as invalid. This is what Judge Sharrett had to say. The petition is so devoid of any factual allegations that it could not be reasonably expected to give rise to a case or controversy. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, folks, and by the way, I'm here to tell you, the Rutherford Institute is who jumped in to defend Raub. They stepped into his defense. But I'm also going to tell you that were it not for the Rutherford Institute stepping in for his defense, they never would have. Raub would be rotting in jail right now. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, Tammy and Isaac. It's a long time since I've called in.
Hey, man.
Great.
How are you?
You know, we are just going to have to, on the 5th, ring their bell and show them that we're not going to put up with this nonsense anymore. You know, we need to make a strong stand. I encourage all of your listeners, I know you've been kind of promoting this, all your listeners to be there on the 5th.
Yeah, this is in the Firearms Freedom Symposium at Remington's in Springfield, folks, on the 5th of March, starting at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And there's going to be a number of serious guests there, among them Larry Pratt, who is the Speaker Emeritus, and also Sheriff Richard Mack will be there as well. So, among others, there's going to also be Elias Alias from the Oath Keepers organization, and he'll be there as well. So I encourage everybody to make sure that you put Tuesday evening on your calendar to be in Springfield. Right. Set up carpools if necessary, but it's important that folks be out there to make sure that we recognize that one, we are exercising our Second Amendment rights, and two, that we are letting our leadership know under no circumstances will we accept any kind of treasonous limitations upon it.
Absolutely not. And they are scared to death of guys like me, guys that have had that extra or even just regular infantry training. You know, any of these, especially Marines, Marines are riflemen first. And you take any of these guys and you tell them that because of, you know, the reasons that you just listed, that, by the way, we're going to take your guns, good luck. That's what I had to say then. Good luck. Anyway, all right, Mike.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, hey, I'll be bringing that by a little bit later. Thanks a lot, man.
Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Here's a quote from Michael Connolly. The reality is that Obama will not get all of the gun control measures he wants through Congress, and they wouldn't be enough for him anyway. He wants a totally disarmed America, so there will be no resistance to his plans to rob us of our nation. That means we have to ask, who will be next? If you are receiving a Social Security check, will you get one of these letters? Will the government declare that you're incompetent because of your age and therefore banned from firearm ownership? It certainly fits in with the philosophy and the plans of this administration. It is also certain that our military veterans don't deserve this, and neither do any other Americans. I'm going to go back and I'm going to reiterate to you again the criteria for which they are stealing the Second Amendment right away from our soldiers. Their willingness to serve and abide by all agreements. Sorry, folks, that's a civil issue. It has nothing to do with your Second Amendment right. If they violate any agreement they've had or a non-disclosure agreement they've had with the military, that's a civil issue. It's not a criminal one. 2, an interview with a VA representative. I beg to differ, but that is not before a judge to do a full due process evaluation of whether or not this individual should be stripped of a base foundational God naturally given right. Unalienable. 3, a credit report review. Really? So you're going to try and tell me that if you've got bad credit, you're subject to losing your Second Amendment right? An inquiry into the military veteran's criminal background. Well, why would you do an investigation just because he's disabled? That's not probable cause. And 4th, interviews with character witnesses. That's also part of the investigation that you had no probable cause to begin with. I'm telling you. America, I don't get it. I mean, how much further are we going to let this thing slip? Caller, if you want to hang on until the break, we'll bring you on.
Yeah, I will hang on.
We'll be right back, folks.
deals at U.S. Cellular's unbelievable sales event are so incredible, even guys who believe in aliens can't believe them.
Open your eyes, sheeple. They are among us.
But smartphones under $100 and up to $400 in savings?
Conspiracy theory.
U.S. Cellular's unbelievable sales event, now through April 1st. U.S. Cellular. Hello, better. Phone offer valid on select smartphones. Other charges and restrictions apply. See store for details.
Miller Accounting is preparing tax returns and offering refund transfers for their clients. Their goal? Prepare your tax return timely, accurately, and confidentially in a stress-free environment. Get your refund by direct deposit, check, or debit card.
Call 417-934-6132.
Mention this station's call letters and receive $10 off. Caution, this offer will self-destruct April 15th.
America's Voice Now, delivering truth over mainstream propaganda every single day. Hi, my name is Michael Evans, and I'm your host, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and Saturday morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Join me daily for important guests and my unique slant on hot topics in the news. Visit americasvoicenow.org for even more news, articles, and commentary, and watch our show streaming live to your PC. Share your morning with me. Get educated, informed, motivated, and activated. America's Voice Now, right here on 107.1.
It's time for Trick Hoops and Alley Hoops. Summersville Booster Club and PTO bringing you the Harlem Wizards tipping off with the Wild Ball Hogs, featuring faculty, staff, and the Summersville Mountain View alumni. Tonight at 6:30 in the Summersville High School Gymnasium. For amazing basketball talent and ball handling skill, the Harlem Wizards, creating an awe-inspiring basketball experience for all. Tickets at the door are $10 for students and $12 for adults. Kids 4 and under are free, and senior citizens pay the same as students. The Harlem Wizards tonight in Summersville.
This is your last weekend to attend the amateur ham radio program being offered by John Price. That'll be held on every Saturday from 9 to noon. It's going on at the Howell County Ambulance Building on K Highway. Simply appear, and they'll be welcoming you into the group with open arms. This is a class for you to be able to learn about ham radio and to study up on the course that you would need to in order to go get a ham radio license and understand ham radio, how it operates, what it does, what its values can be. It's ideal for those folks who are in the prepper and the patriot community, and I strongly encourage you to evaluate whether or not this course is right for you. There's no cost to take it, and the only thing you need to do is buy a book, which runs about $20. And so please make sure that you are contacting John Price for further information. You can reach him at 417-372-1135. That's 417-372-1135. Also, don't forget our reloading class on March 30th. If you are interested in learning how to reload your own ammunition, and at this point after today's show you really ought to be, then you can send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's going to be on March 30th, and it's a full-day course. Cost is $100 per person. Please make sure you send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org. Incorporate in there in the subject line, reloading, so I know exactly what to do, and I'll get back to you with all the details and the specifications on it. Also, on March 23rd, we have our TAC 1 2-day pistol course. If you're interested in taking that, I need to hear from you immediately, if not sooner. That TAC 1 pistol course is a 2-day course where you'll shoot somewhere between 750 and 800 rounds of ammunition at minimum. Preferably, you should bring with you 1,000. You'll need a semi-automatic pistol, and at the end of that course, you will have an unbelievable skill that you will not be able to replicate anywhere else. Make sure that you're prepared to take that course, and I encourage husband and wife, mother and son, father and daughter, whatever, to take it as a collective group, because after you've both taken it, you'll both have different viewpoints on what you learned. You'll have an opportunity to then take that and put that training into good use in the field where you can critique and work with each other to make sure that you're learning and studying correctly. In addition to that, you'll work as a team when you defend your home, which is exactly what you should be doing on a daily basis, practicing. Okay? Make sure that you send me an email to mike@americasvoicenow.org and mention on there TAC 1. And I'll know exactly what that means. I'll get back to you with information. The cost is $175 per person, and you'll need about 800 rounds of ammunition at minimum. All right? Make sure that you take that course. I've taken many, many, many of those courses over the years, and I'm going to tell you that I've learned something invaluable from each and every one of them. Okay, our final story for today is the Utah Second Amendment Preservation Act being blocked by their committee chairman. And this committee chairman actually says, sometimes it's a concern if we spend all of our time and all of our money on matters that don't look like they have a chance of survival. I'm just going to have to look at this. Now, it's been blocked because, and by the way, it was curiously dropped from the agenda in the first place. It was blocked, unfortunately, by the committee chairman because he is unsure whether states have the power to defy the federal government's unconstitutional attempt to seize weapons from citizens. What? I'm sorry, Mr. K. McCliff. Have you never read the 10th Amendment? Do you not understand the premise and the principles of nullification? If you don't, I encourage you to go find Thomas Jefferson's 1798 and 1799 writings, where he declares nullification is not only a possibility, it is a duty and an obligation when the government has declared unconstitutional laws to stand. Go ahead, caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Mike, I can understand your frustration, but I want to say something about a little closer to home. 107.1 The Point, the station you're on, at 10:30 today, there'll be a tradio come on, and the first thing they're going to say is no firearms will be accepted. And that's, you got a traitor in your midst there.
No, I don't. And don't ever say that again. That's not true. There's no firearms that are stated on here because that is the station's policy. And that does not mean that they're a traitor or that there's a traitor in my midst. This station allows me to put this show on. I don't know where the hell you came up with that. This station allows me to sit here and talk to you every day like I'm doing right now. Where do you come off with that kind of a statement? That's all I've got to say about that nonsensical crap. I'm going to tell you, America, we are in a position where our republic is slipping through our fingers like sand. And you're either going to have to get on the stick and start taking some action politically, peacefully, legally, or we are going to lose anything and everything we have ever understood, we have ever known, ever dreamt about, ever hoped for. We are falling into tyranny, and we are falling at a breakneck free fall speed. We are not walking towards the cliff. We are not trotting towards the cliff. We are not cantering towards the cliff. We are at a dead sprint run. Every day, there is something new about how our rights are being usurped or stolen or squeezed out of us. Washington has so overgrown its boundaries, so overgrown its constitutional limitations, that at this point, you have a state legislator in Utah who says, I'm not sure if it's legal for me to defy the federal government. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your minds? It's not a question of do you have the right to legally defy the federal government? The federal government works for us. And so do you. The federal government doesn't have some leash on and some license to abuse you. They are not the final arbiter. God and nature are the final arbiter. Go ahead, caller. Turn your radio off.
Hey, Mike, regarding that first issue of the Target situation, You know, they're appealing to cowards now to shoot easy targets where there's no imminent danger, it looks to me like.
Well, look, when you're sitting there showing me a picture of a 12 or 13-year-old girl holding a gun, I got to question your sanity.
Roger, yeah. You know, that's despicable, demented, demonic, and damnable. I'll tell you.
I'm gonna question your sanity when you show me a picture of a pregnant mother standing on a playground with a child in a stroller, and you've got her holding a gun, and that's a target you're giving away to our law enforcement and our military?
Amen, brother. Now, I'm going to tell you something. They probably got that idea from that piece of trash that murdered Vicki Weaver while holding that little baby, Elishaba. And then Sam Weaver, a young man trying to defend his dog up there in the woods in Idaho.
Listen, they've been at this for a long, long time, and the Weavers are. I don't want to go into the Weaver thing. I get it, but you know, I mean, look. The simple truth is, we don't need the Weavers to show us tyranny. All we got to do is go look at a group of targets they're selling $6 million worth of. $6 million.
That's it. All I'm going to say, Mike, and I'll get out of here.
Thanks.
Is it's going to be real interesting when they go up against well-seasoned men returning their fire.
Well, I'm not advocating that we do anything at this point other than legal and proper through the proper procedures that are allowed through our courts and our constitutional rights. And that includes nullification of federal law that is a violation of everything that our Constitution stands for. Our Constitution very clearly states, Article 1, we have the right to be able to speak our minds, and they're threatening Bob Woodward for doing that. Article 2 states that you have the right, or your Second Amendment states that you have the right to own a firearm, and it shall not be infringed. Key operative word being shall. Our Fourth Amendment says that you are secure in your person and that they do not have the right to search you unreasonably, which is they're being violated right there when they're stealing the Second Amendment rights from our military, where they're saying that they have the right to institute an investigation into these veterans by doing a credit report and an inquiry into a criminal background and an interview with character witnesses. I beg to differ. That is exactly what that is. That is a violation of their Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure. You're searching them and their personal life. And your Fifth Amendment says that you cannot have due process stolen from you. And if you quantify it and tell me that an interview with a VA representative and a credit report is enough to steal your Second Amendment constitutional rights, I declare you a traitor! Go ahead, caller. You got seconds.
Yeah, I just want to know who answered. The House can initiate...
Only the House.
Okay, who can initiate treason?
What do you mean? A declaration of treason? It's got to be brought by the government. It's a charge. It's a criminal charge.
Right. Who has the privilege of doing that?
Both the House and the Senate could do it. Could institute treason. But you know what? None of them have any backbone. They're worms. They don't have any guts. You got a House member over here in Utah who says that he doesn't think he can question the federal government. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I know.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Get over to our Facebook page. Find these stories so that your blood can boil. But I tell you what, I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know how much longer we can tolerate the unbelievable abuse and tyrannical treatment that we are receiving daily from our state and our federal governments. You're listening to America's Voice. Find us on the web at facebook.com/America's Voice Now. Find us at americasvoicenow.org. You can see this video later on YouTube. Have a great day.
Let's get to the point.
Well, let me get to the point.
FM News Talk for the Ozarks is FM 107.1 The Point. KBMV.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. After a final goodbye to Cardinals,
it was a joy for me to walk with you over these years.
Pope Benedict is now getting ready to go. Fox News Radio's Courtney Walsh live at the Vatican.
After that emotional farewell to his Cardinals, Pope Benedict is preparing to leave. In about an hour, he takes off by helicopter for his summer palace in Castel Gandolfo, where he will stay until April, until work is done on a small convent on Vatican grounds. Shortly after he arrives, Benedict will give a last salute to the faithful from the